everybody, happy Wednesday and welcome to my channel. I hope everybody's having great midweek and everybody's kind of recouping after watching US elections last night, even though the winner has not been officially announced as of yet. But nevertheless, today we'll talk about Russia, another murder of an oligarch. And murder happened on November 2nd. Vladimir Morganov, he was home with his common-law wife in Moscow suburb when people entered his property and he was murdered. In regards to his murders, there's very interesting details. What do we know about him? He was a meat king and he was dubbed as such. He had a huge meat business in Russia. I mean, a lot of people say, and I'll say it myself, people who are involved in animal murder usually, that's kind of what happens as far as their fate, but this is outside the scope of this video. Even though I am involved in animal rights and everything like that, this video is not about that. So what are we actually discussing? Another oligarch, another murder. In his case, there's a very interesting twist. And what it is, the people already found who is possibly responsible for his murder. And Russian law enforcement followed the leads, and the individual has been arrested. His last name is Mavrodi, and he is actually known to his former wife. To give you a background, Morganov's wife is actually quite famous and all over Russian state television. She dubs herself to be a poet, but nevertheless she hangs around in pro-Kremlin circles and she's constantly can be seen on different talk shows in Russia, one as dubbed expert. She also gained a lot of notoriety over her story. Her son died in a racing incident, and that was all over Russian news as well. She blamed her husband for not helping him or getting him a motorcycle, etc., even though he was over the age of 20 and he was her only child, so obviously that was quite traumatic for her. But nevertheless, this is where it gets interesting. Actually, his former wife knew the killer pretty well. She also mentioned her husband to him. But even if anybody can say, okay, yes, it happens, and it's actually an American Dateline a lot as well, where, wives and husbands possibly murder each other for profit, for animosity. There's a lot of that going on. But in this case, this is what's different, and this is always what bothers me about Russia in the current situation. She has been closely involved, and even in romantic relationships with people who are pro-Kremlin. And pro-Kremlin, they're not talking about someone who's, I support Putin sitting at home. She's involved with people who are involved in the State Duma, in the Russian government, and high up in Kremlin. I'm not saying Putin or anything like that because I don't think she's that high up. But nevertheless, she's involved with this kind of people. So, and lately there's been a lot of deaths of an oligarch. Yes, it could be that somebody did her a favor for disgruntled ex-wife and everything like that because also her ex-husband was cheating on her. But it also gives you a flavor that it is possible that there's certain type of wave recently that's happening where many oligarchs are getting murdered. And usually all the ties are back to 90s when there was a split of state property after the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. It was wild 90s all over Russia. A lot of murders, mafia were divided, the state property went to now known oligarchs who made their fortune basically stealing Soviet resources. That's basically how they all make money in Russia and continue to do so one way or another. And this is what exactly been happening, but this is a new wave. And this wave started specifically after Putin's introduced the amendments and they were passed to Russian constitution. So basically right after July 1st vote. And interestingly enough, it seems there's also a new organization that's being created by Putin now to oversee everyone, but at the end of the day, this new organization, basically Putin will be a lead of everything. Never mind just the president, he'll be a lead in the government, he'll be doing everything. And he pretty much will be in charge of the whole Russia, even though the president is, but it gives him even additional powers. That's basically what it is, and also allows him to run indefinitely, and clearly he'll be in power at least until 2036. It is very clear, unless something happens to his house, which possible, but at the same time he'll be staying in power at least 2036. That's why these constitution amendments were so important. But what is very interesting about this whole thing too, that oligarchs, there's clearly changes, and I think anyone from the 90s who is now close to 50s and 60s now in Russia who got state property and obtained it and now either possibly disgruntled new politicians that are in Kremlin and they're cleaning it up because they have old scores, or they became no longer useful. They were useful in the 90s, they're no longer useful. Now there's a slew of deaths. There was just recently St. Petersburg oligarchs that were just murdered. His son actually raced in Formula 1. I did a video previously on that just last week alone. But this is what's happening, and I would love to know everybody's opinions. And I would love to know everything what's been happening, and also I would love to what everybody thinks about this. And as far as being pro-Kremlin and the murders of oligarchs, even though in this case clearly there's an ex-wife angle, but the ex-wife was pro-Kremlin. This is what it is, and not just pro-Kremlin as I pointed out, not just having pro-Kremlin views, she's heavily involved with Russian politicians and oligarchs. So what does everybody think? Please click like, please subscribe to my channel. You can also read my articles at communalnews.com under Kristina Kitova, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your day and the rest of the week. Thanks for watching.